Good morning, or depending when you're watching this, good afternoon, good evening, or good night. My name's Ross, and as always told out of Voice of Radio, so today we need to talk about the frequently asked questions from Lost Origin. Yeah, that's right. The official FAQ has got to been published over on Pokegym. Remember, and I've told you this many times before, Pokegym rulings are official. Sure, it's on Pokegym, not Pokemon.com, but this is the official Lost Origin FAQ, and I say this every time, and it remains true every time. If you are going to play the Pokemon trading card game, you are going to need to know the rulings. Simple as that. So starting off, and thank you massively again to Pokegym for providing these translations. So, in terms of Pokemon abilities, we've got Hazard Star that is coming around on Drapion V-Star. And Hazard Star says that during your turn, you may make your opponent's active Pokemon paralyzed and poisoned. And then during Pokemon Checkup, you put 3 damage counters on the Pokemon instead of 1. It's the V-Star power. So then the question becomes, well, if I use this to poison my opponent's Pokemon, and then I've got Radiant Sneasler with Poison Peak in play, that's the one that says you put 2 more damage counters on poison Pokemon, do I put 3 or 5 damage counters? The answer is 5. The key here is that Hisuian Sneasler, the Radiant version, does not make it 2, it adds 2, so 3 plus 2 equals 5. Now, there is a new Parasect coming in with the ability Lethargy Spore. When you play this Pokemon from your hand to evolve one of your Pokemon during your turn, you may make both active Pokemon poisoned and asleep. Yeah, both of them. So, if I do this after Dustox has used Nadir Powder, which is a new attack here, obviously we are talking to Dustox from the set, and that's the one that says your opponent's active Pokemon is now confused and poisoned. During Pokemon Checkup, put 8 damage counters on the Pokemon instead of 1. And the answer is, you only actually take 1, because Lethargy Spore from Parasect here will actually reset the number of damage counters to 1, so Nadir Powder, it's taking 8. If you then go and use Lethargy Spore, it basically resets it from 8 to 1. To put it another way, if your opponent's taking 8 damage counters for poison, don't use Lethargy Spore. Now, Clefairy has got a very, very nice ability in this new set. We've got Moon Watching Party, and that is the one where once during your turn, if this Pokemon is in the active spot, for each of your bench Clefairy, you may search your deck for a Psychic Energy and attach it to that Clefairy. Okay, well if I switch or retreat for a bench Clefairy, can I use that Clefairy's Moon Watching Party too? Yes. Yes, you can. You can potentially use 4 Moon Watching Party in one turn, which is awesome. Do remember, of course, that if you retreat or switch into a Clefairy that's already used Moon Watching Party, you won't be able to use it again. That is very, very, very important. And then the last ability we need to check out here is Bayonet's Puppet Offering. Once during your turn, you may put a supporter card from your discard pile into your hand, but if you do, you need to put Bayonet into the Lost Zone. Do you also put the underlying Shuppet card into the Lost Zone? Yes, because it is part of the Pokemon not attached to. So Energy and Tools, etc. don't go, but other Pokemon do. This is, of course, extremely important, because we see cards like Giratina, for instance, whose V-Star power means you've got to have 10 cards in the Lost Zone. Putting Shuppet and Bayonet both in the Lost Zone puts 2 in rather than 1, makes a big difference as to, you know, how well you can actually fire this. Moving on to attacks then, we will start with Ancient Star, which is Aerodactyl V-Star's V-Star power. I know, V-Star power's all over the place here. And what we've got here is an attack that says, until this Pokemon leaves play, it gains an ability that has the effect your opponent's Pokemon V in play, except any Aerodactyl V-Star, have no abilities. It basically just turns into Ability Lock, which is amazing. Well, there's a note here. Aerodactyl V-Star retains the effect of its Ancient Star attack, even if it goes to the bench or becomes active. If an effect like Path to the Peak shuts off abilities and Ancient Star is turned off, remember Aerodactyl V-Star is still a rulebox Pokemon, but then if that effect goes away, if Path to the Peak leaves play, then Ancient Star ability returns. And yes, it will mean that there is one extra Pokemon in play with an ability. So when you're looking at the number of Pokemon in play with an ability, this will totally count. Now, Hisuian Zoroark gets a card in the new set with Doom Curse, an attack the likes of which we've seen before. For 0 energy, at the end of your opponent's next turn, the defending Pokemon will be knocked out. Well, what happens if my opponent switches or retreats or brings up a new active Pokemon or whatever? The answer is nothing gets KO'd. Essentially, the Pokemon needs to stay active in order to be KO'd, and if it goes to the bench for any reason, that effect is removed and nobody is KO'd. It's what stops the attack being absolutely, utterly broken for 0 energy. Obviously, if this guaranteed a KO for 0 energy, it would be amazing. That is unfortunately not the way it works. Now, Shifty comes in with Fan Tornado, 50 damage. You may have your opponent switch their active Pokemon with one of their bench. Well, if I use it, and my opponent has an active Pokemon that used Swim Freely on their last turn, these are Pokemon like the new Dugong that says you've got an attack that does 10 damage and you flip a coin, and if heads during your opponent's next turn, prevent all damage from and effects of attacks done to this Pokemon. Can I still choose to have them switch their active Pokemon? No. Because Fan Tornado is targeting the active Pokemon, so Swim Freely will stop it happening. If, however, there is an effect which brings up a benched Pokemon, then the effect is on the benched Pokemon and Swim Freely won't protect. Swim Freely will protect. You have to switch, because it's your active which is switching, they use Swim Freely. But it will not protect you from your opponent being able to pick a bench Pokemon and bring it active. That is a very important distinction. Now, Politoed is back in this new set, and we've got the attack Lordly Song Leader, 10 damage, but if Poliwag is on your bench, you do 60 more. If Poliwhirl is on your bench, you do 90 more. And if Poliwrath is on your bench, you do 120 more. Well, if I've got all 3 of them, can I get all 3 lots of extra damage? Yes, you get the additional bonuses once per Pokemon named in the attack. If I've got multiple Poliwag on my bench, does that mean I get multiple lots of 60 extra damage? No. If you've got 1 Poliwag, you do 60 extra. If you've got 2 Poliwag, you do 60 extra, and so on. It is 60 extra if you have any number of Poliwag on your bench, not 60 more per Poliwag. If I've got a Poliwrath on my bench that evolved from Poliwag and Poliwhirl, do I get all 3 bonuses? Nah, because that Pokemon is not Poliwag and Poliwhirl and Poliwrath. It is just Poliwrath, so you only get the bonus from Poliwrath. Now, Sableye is one of the best new cards in the set, and it's got a really ridiculous attack, Lost Mine. If you've got 10 or more cards in the Lost Zone, put 12 damage counters on your opponent's Pokemon in any way that you like. And while we're here, this ruling is the same for Giratina V-Star Star Requiem and the Fantina supporter card, all of which require you to have 10 cards in the Lost Zone. So we'll deal with all 3 of these at once. If I have 5 cards in my Lost Zone, and my opponent has 5 cards in their Lost Zone, do I get to use it? No. Each player has a separate Lost Zone that you put cards into. You must have 10 cards yourself in order to use Sableye, Lost Mine, Giratina V-Star Star Requiem, or Fantina. Sorry about that. Now, a card that I am probably way too fond of in this particular set is Dell Fox V. Now, what we've got is Magical Fire, 120 damage, put 2 energy attached to this Pokemon into Lost Zone, and then you deal 120 to a bench Pokemon as well. If my opponent doesn't have any bench Pokemon, so I cannot do 120 to the bench, do I still have to Lost Zone 2 energy? Yeah. Sorry about that, ladies and gentlemen. You totally do. Sad face. Now, Rotom V. There are 2 Rotom V, but only one of them is actually in this particular set. And it's got the attack Scrap Short. It does 40 damage, And you can put any number of Pokemon tool cards from your discard pile into the Lost Zone, and you deal 40 more damage for each one you put into the Lost Zone. Well, do I have to have tools in my discard pile to use it? Or if I have tools in my discard, do I have to choose at least one to put into the Lost Zone? I.e., if I only need to do 40 damage, can I just deal 40 damage and not have to worry about having tools in the Lost Zone? Or, can I keep the tools in the Lost Zone? Because if I only need to do 40 now, save the tools to do a big attack later. You can use Scrap Short if you don't have any tools in your discard pile. Yay! Scrap Short does not require you to put any tools into the Lost Zone. If you cannot or choose not to put any tools into the Lost Zone, it only does the 40 base damage. But as I've just explained, sometimes that is all you're going to want to do. This is a very, very good thing. And finally, we've got Synchrokinesis on Malamar. This is the last attack we need to be having a little bit of a look at here. And what we've got here is 30 damage. Each player reveals their hand. If a card in your opponent's hand has the same name as a card in your hand, this attack does 90 more damage. Well, what if you've only got basic energy cards in common? Do I get the extra damage? And the answer is, if you've got basic energy of the same type, it's a match. So if you've both got fighting, yay! But if you've got psychic and your opponent's got fighting, boo! Also, as a side note here, even though Professor's Research and Boss's Orders can have multiple different characters, the name is still just Professor's Research, and they will count as matches, and that's rather lovely. The only trainer card ruling we've got is Fantina, and we've already talked about that one. So there we go, ladies and gentlemen. Those are the rulings you need to know, and some of these are pretty gosh darn important. And like I said at the beginning, if you want to play the Pokemon trading card game, you are going to need to know the rules of the Pokemon trading card game. But now it's over to you guys. Which of these rules are interesting? Which do you want to know about? Well, which ones are interesting to you? Let me know in the comment section, would ya? Get us! Be nice! And then make sure you like this video, subscribe to this channel, follow me on Twitter at the Wasi. That's where we talk Pokemon card games, Pokemon card games, all kind of fun things. And please do consider checking out patreon.com/PTCGRadio, where you can support the channel, get some bonus podcasts. This week I'm talking all about my Worlds trip. It was very much fun. And I give shout outs to people like the lovely Noah Zoldak, who has been a supporter for a while and is a very lovely person. Thank you for the support, Noah, and thank you for being a very lovely person. But by far the most important thing as always, look after yourselves till next time, would ya? Thank you very much for watching. My name is Ross, and you've been watching PTCG Radio.